Hello gamers and welcome back to the Armbar arcade. I'm Nay and today we're going to be looking at Auto Modellista, a cel-shaded racing game by Capcom. It's very Japanese and it's also pretty fun, so let's dive in. So this is Garage Life mode, which is the main mode of Auto Modellista. We're going to create a new garage and we're going to enter a name for it. And right away it's a very Japanese way of doing a name entry. I've never seen this type of thing before. There's only a few characters per row and then you can switch between uppercase and lowercase here. I think we'll just call the garage Armbar because I can't be able to input arcade as well. So now we've got to choose the type of garage we want. There's a prefabricated garage, a concrete wall garage, or the My Summer Car garage with a log house. We'll go for the log house, feeling a bit Scandinavian today. And we've got to select a car company. Those secret ones are interesting down the bottom, but I'm going to go with Toyota, seeing as I drive one. And in the Toyota garage we've got a Supra, an MR2, a Lexus in the Toyota garage apparently, Toyota Celica, a secret car, an MR2, some other stuff. There's a Yaris. I do drive a Yaris. Let's start with the Yaris. I drive a Yaris. So I'm going to enter a new name for the car. We're in the habit of naming our cars. This one's going to be called Lenny. Lenny the car. And a license plate number for Lenny. Well, let's go with a kind of personalised number plate here. L3NNY. So here we go, we've got options to change cars. Well, we've only just got it, so we won't be doing that. Let's have a look at the tuning options. There's an easy tune-up, which sounds good. Normal tune-up, a dress-up, and a test run. So the easy tune-ups are based on each course. So there's an uphill and downhill variants of some courses. We'll go for an average tune-up, I guess, with an acceleration plus and some grip. So we're going to change the body design as well. We can have a racing stripe. Cool, yeah, let's give Lenny a racing stripe. Oh, we'll give him a grille as well, that looks nice. Some side skirts and a back bumper thingamajig. I used to put this sort of stuff on in like Juiced and Need for Speed, but I've got no idea what it's called. Some blue ones, that's cool. Very nice. And neon lights. No, just eyelids. Let's put some eyelids on our car, right? That's looking about as good as Lenny's gonna look. We can change the colour of car parts, so we can repaint it all. That'd be nice. I don't really like the blue we've got at the moment, so... Some of these look horrific. Let's go with British Racing Green, or as near as we can get. There we go, that's about right, I think. So the game literally allows us to put items and posters in our garage, so we can have a shelf full of tools and choose where it goes, because obviously it's very important to car racing that your garage is kitted out with as many posters and banners as possible. There goes a Michelin one. We'll add some more later. Interesting feature of the game. Japanese games seem to go into kind of quite a lot of detail with this kind of stuff a lot of the time. Race is an option on the list, so maybe we should get into that. So we've got level 1 of races. We've got the Ura Downhill Rocco Challenge Cup on Rocco Hill. Suzuka's got the Freshman Challenge Cup and the Osaka Highway Loop Highway Challenge Cup. So we'll go with the Freshman's Challenge Cup in a minute because we know Suzuka pretty well. And I do automatic gearing because I am terrible at manual, so there's really no reason to do it. There we go, so there's the Ferris wheel, and it should be a pretty familiar circuit to anyone who's played Gran Turismo or any kind of game that has licensed circuits. Suzuka's like the first one any game seems to license. Oh, nearly went into that Daihatsu Copen there. We're much faster than our opponents. There you go, look behind, that's pretty cool. So you'll notice the game looks kind of different to a lot of racing games, seeing as it's cell shaded. Lovely graphical style, perhaps isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you think of racing games, but the way it's done is really, really nice. I mean, it adds a new element and interest to Auto Modellista, and with so many racing games on the market, I think it's a genius move. I mean, it looks lovely. Obviously the lines added for speed look great, like it's out of a comic book. Yeah, I mean, I really like the graphical style of this game. So playing this game was suggested by a friend of Armbar Arcade, Nick Higgins, along with other Japanese games like Tokyo Highway Challenge, I think, or Tokyo Highway Challenge Extreme, and Initial D, which I am working on getting, but this was the only one that I had ready to play. So this was a one-lap race. We're miles ahead of our opponents, and yeah, I guess we've won the Challenge Cup, but it wasn't much of a challenge. A look behind across the finish line, and we win. Hooray! Congratulations! So there's our plaque for winning. And we've got a Subaru 360 as a prize. That's not great because the Subaru 360 is a really old car that doesn't go very fast, but okay. And we've unlocked a ton of stuff. That's a very Japanese thing in games, is just unlocking thousands of items. Like, okay, thanks for all the items. So we can start on level 2 races, which I think we'll do because level 1 was way easy. So let's have a look at a downhill challenge at Akagi. Some nice trees there. Looking at autumnal. We've got 4 cars going downhill. And it's a bit of a point-to-point race, these ones. Downhill and uphill challenges. So we're racing down to the bottom of Akagi Hill at the moment. So this is a good chance to take a look at some tight twists and turns on the tracks of Auto Modellista. Now, the uphill and downhill courses, of course, will feature these sort of hairpins and tight twists and turns that are a bit outrun, I guess. One thing we did find on the way down after a little mishap was the hazard warning lights, which you can just whack on whenever you feel like it, really, which is nice. I like it when games let you control the indicators, windscreen wipers and lights and other stuff in the car. Like, it actually makes it feel a bit more like you're in full control of the car. And if nothing else, you can just indicate all the turns on the course. But we're only allowed to use the hazard, so we'll just indicate that we are literally a hazard at this point. Although we're doing alright, we're moving our way into second, if this guy will let us into second, which he has. So an interesting thing about Auto Modellista, I think most of the cars are unlocked from the start of the game. You can choose whatever you'd like to drive of the unlocked cars. I'm not sure if the opponents scale up to match the difficulty level, or whether we'll just get to level 4 and be unable to compete in our Yaris. But it's an interesting take on unlocking cars within games. Obviously, Gran Turismo 4 had the thing of nearly everything's unlocked in career mode, so you have to buy maybe 50% of the cars and unlock the other 50% as prize cars. We've nearly slid out there, and we're in a tough battle at the final corners with these guys. Yeah, wow, we were going too wide there through the corner. And we do need to get back into first pretty sharpish because the final corner is here. But we've done it, so that's good. I am number 1. So we're back at the makers list. I think I might go for a Mazda RX-8, something a little bit sporty. We'll take it in red, thank you very much. So this car, the last one was called Lenny. I'm going to call this one Henry, in a bit of a British comedian reference. H3NRY. Now I bet that number plate's worth a fortune. Let's go for a rainy street challenge cup, because I want to see how this game handles rain.
3, 2, 1, go!
So let's see how the RX-8 performs. This looks like a pretty basic track, so we shouldn't have too much trouble with it. The rain has changed the handling a little bit. It's a tiny bit more slidey. You need a bit more braking in the corners. That's nice. It's always good to see weather effects changing the actual driving gameplay. I know it's a very standard thing in modern gaming, but some older games it's raining, but it has no real effect. Snow usually has a good effect, you know, you'll slide about on the snow, and it's a really old game, but some things we take for granted these days just weren't in older games. Yeah, this is really nice. I like the splashing around the car's tyres, that's lovely. Auto Modellista is just a bit of a beautiful game, you know, even if the core gameplay, the racing's okay, but it's the visuals and the sort of car selection that really make it what it is. It's one of those kind of Japanese races, but with some different visuals. And you kind of need a USP in the racing game market, because otherwise, what have you got? You know, there's tons of racing games. I can think of so many it'd be similar to if it hadn't adopted the cell shading style. We've got to go right behind us as well. This is close. Almost forgot to brake for that corner. We've given him an opportunity, but we're going to fight and make it back into first. It's only 2 laps, so we do need to make sure that we win this one. And here we go, we're coming up to the finish line. He's behind us. He's gaining, I think, a little bit, but we're going to come through before he gets to overtake us.
Congratulations!
There we go, we've won the Rainy Street Challenge Cup #1. We've got a Sports 800, which I think is a Mazda, an engine tune-up, some weight reduction, so we'll see what we can do with tuning up our car for level 3. And we might decorate our garage a little bit, because why not? So let's see what we've unlocked in terms of floor items. We've got a battery, jerry can, a toolbox, a tyre, or a tyre stand, some oil cans. Let's put an oil can down. That's something you should have in a garage, I think. And now look at the posters that we've unlocked. We'd like a Capcom poster. Do like Capcom. And where's that retro Michelin poster that we unlocked? There we go, Michelin retro sign. So even for the tyres, we've got tons of different tyre makers. We'll stick with Michelin because they're on our walls. So we're going to try and get a bit more power out of the engine with the level 2 tune-up. I don't really understand the gear ratio, and weight reduction is always good. So the car's tuned, that's good. Kind of reminds me of Juiced with all the different parts makers that you can choose from, but in Juiced obviously you put the decals on your car to say, oh yes, my car has got this type of parts in it, which is kind of like a tuner thing to do, I guess. At the time it was a cool thing to do with your car, just like undercar lights and all the silly things this game doesn't offer you to do. So we're going to go to level 3, and already we've got some repeats of circuits and stuff. We're going to try and avoid playing too many of the same places, so we'll go for the Osaka Highway this time. But I think that is one weakness of Auto Modellista, is the fact that it doesn't have that many circuits in total. It has quite a few cars in that, but you know, once you played a circuit 3 or 4 times, it can be a little bit boring, and you want some progression within the game. Obviously you can tune up the cars to a certain level, and there's certain levels of racing, but I think having different circuits, even unlockable ones, really does improve a game. You know, if you could be driving this round Circuit de la Salle or something, I know it's a Japanese game, but you know, other circuits do exist, and other Japanese circuits exist. I mean, it hasn't got Tsukuba, that's not on here. There's a few other Japanese ones that have been left out. They could have even gone for some original circuits. I mean, this one's pretty original. This is just a big old rectangle. So we'll power down the straights and worry about cornering when we get there. I feel like it's been pretty easy so far as well. I wouldn't say I've been challenged at all whilst playing, which isn't the greatest thing for a racing game. You know, you want a little bit of challenge. You don't want it too hard, like playing Project Cars with gamepad, but you do want a little bit of challenge. One quite funny thing is when I brake, all the speed lines just disappear, which I find hilarious, because obviously you're still going basically the same speed. But that's a design decision. I don't hate it. Obviously cell shaded stuff is something you can get used to. And the whole comic book look of the game is its main draw, I would say. You know, the gameplay's good. It's definitely playable, but you're only going to be playing so you can see car racing in a different light. There's no damage modelling or anything on the cars as far as I know, which is fine. Obviously it's quite difficult to do damage modelling in cell shaded graphics, but the collisions and that aren't amazing. You know, the physics on them is basically just boxes crashing into each other. So there's something they could have improved if they were going for an Auto Modellista 2, which never happened. But maybe a modern day Auto Modellista would be cool, you know, with kind of this kind of thing, but more highly rendered graphics. So we're going to come through to win this race easily. I know it was on a rectangle, but I did expect a bit more of a challenge from our opponents. Maybe on the higher levels there's more challenge, but obviously playing through on several of the same circuits isn't ideal.
I'm looking forward to your next race.
Yeah, the announcers are really Japanese thing as well. Like, I'm looking forward to your next race. A lot of Japanese games have this kind of enthusiastic guy who's announcing the game and particularly interested in what you're doing, which is fun. But it's just a kind of old concept in the West, I guess. We're going to change our car one more time and do a final uphill or downhill race, depending on what we end up choosing. I'm going to go for a Subaru Impreza, I think. Won't go for the Young SS or the 360, seeing as it's a little bit less powerful than we're used to. Let's go with this Impreza. It's got to be blue, obviously. Last car name, we've had Lenny Henry. I think there's a car called is it the Renault Adam? It's the something Adam, so we're going to call this car Adam after Adam from Armbar Arcade. So we're going to try a hill climb for our final race of this video. Back on Okage Hill. It's looking nice with its autumny goodness. Everyone else has racing stripes. Will that make them faster than us? Clearly not. Oh, the Subaru is powerful and we didn't even really tune it up. Although it looks like we might be against another Subaru. I think it's a Subaru, it's speeding off into the distance. Maybe the game has got a bit harder, but then again maybe it's just the hill climb. I'm not kind of used to shooting up hills and then having to corner. It's an interesting concept, it's just not something that I've done a whole lot of, apart from Need for Speed Carbon had the canyon, but that was mostly downhill, and if you fell off the canyon, well, that was it. Well, we found out today that I'm not great at hill climb racing. Either that or the game suddenly got more difficult, but I think it might just be the fact that I'm not used to this Subaru and I'm not very good at hill climbs. So yeah, we're coming through on the final stretch to take 4th place. Didn't do very well there, but apart from that we weren't really challenged by the game. And that's going to just about do it for our look at Auto Modellista. Leave in the comments your favourite Japanese racing games. I know Nick's going to have a fair few. Leave a like if you like this video, subscribe if you're new here in the Armbar Arcade, and I will see you next time.